This video is sponsored by True Gold Republic, the precious metals experts. Talk to one of their experts today about diversifying your portfolio to help assure your future financial security. Find their contact information in the description below and pinned in our first comment. James Kaufman, World News Report today, July 17th, 2024. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Representative Corey Mills triggers CNN host to investigate Trump assassination attempt. Former sniper and defense contractor Representative Corey Mills, Republican, Florida, triggered a CNN host on Tuesday after suggesting that intentional failures may have resulted in the assassination attempt on Donald Trump on Saturday. Quote, "The amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here, I have a very difficult time not leaning myself towards this was being intentional, as opposed to fecklessness," Mills told anchor Kate Bolduan. Quote, "If I have a building 140 yards perfectly adjacent to the stage, that's an obvious threat," he continued, "especially with an elevated position that has overwatch. There's a sniper's paradise." Mills, an Iraq war veteran and former DYN Corp security specialist, co-founded private security company Pace M Defense, and states he's overseen security for thousands of events like this. After a stunned CNN Bolduan pressed Mills, he replied, "I sit here and scratch my head. You don't want to be the conspiracist. That's the issue. You walk this fine balance, but you look at it and think, how could this have gone so wrong?" Colin Rugg tweeted out, "Just in, CNN host loses it after former U.S. Army sniper Corey Mills suggests the July 13th assassination attempt on Trump could have been a setup. Holy..." Mills explained how everything about the incident made no sense. CNN anchor Kate Bolduan was visibly stunned. Let's listen to Mr. Mills.
I look at all of these things, and I look at different videos where an assailant will pull a firearm on a law enforcement officer, and the first thing they do is they immediately pull and draw and mitigate the threat and the risk. I ask why the law enforcement officer did not do so. The other thing is that when you set an advanced scheme, I keep hearing this about the perimeter elements.
Yeah.
The perimeter is actually established by your threats that are in the area. So if I don't have any threats outside of 100 yards, okay, fine, I can cordon off a certain area. But if I have a building 160 yards, perfectly
140 yards, and the only building, I'm starting to wonder about the actual water tower as well.
Adjacent to the stage, that's an obvious threat, especially with an elevated position that has overwatch. That's a sniper's paradise. And we talk about Eagle's Nest. You also have, which no one talks about, but the water tower.
So what I'm hearing from you is it's not a failure on the ground for sure, but also a failure in advance?
I think it's a failure in advance. I think it's a failure to have the counter snipers to be able to establish their range plan and their sketch maps.
I also heard we also learned that local snipers were stationed inside that building.
That would have been effective. What he's telling y'all is this is a total setup by the Biden administration, period.
I haven't heard that piece of it yet, but that doesn't necessarily make sense unless they were actually in a window which was backed off, because a lot of times you would get yourself in there. Sometimes you expose your rifle in a way to try and do a force protection or a show of force that actually stops things. Others are actually more tactical where they'll sit back a little bit, but a sniper for the law enforcement is only trained to shoot off 75 yards, unlike your counter sniper teams that are on set. But here's my problem. In having done this for so long, they always say the adage of ignorance is bliss, and I think that's true.
Bliss and ignorance is, well, one and the same, right? If you're ignorant, you're bliss, and he's nailing it, and she's tripping out. She's actually doing hand signals to cut the feed. Watch her continually do it.
I've done thousands of advances. I've done thousands of counter sniper operations with our teams in Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. The amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here, I have a very difficult time not leaning myself towards this was intentional as opposed to fecklessness.
Well, wait, talk to me about that. I actually heard you say this right the day after, which I wanted to ask you about. What do you mean intentional?
You know,
I mean an intentional failure on the part of...
No, I wouldn't say an intentional failure on the part of, but I kind of just, I sit here and I scratch my head. You don't want to be the conspiracist. You don't want to be the...
I'm telling you, because that's what it...
I would say an intentional failure on the part of the government. And these people, well, they want their pensions. They want their big government. We all know what happened. It's obvious.
That's what it's leading to.
No, I know, and that's the issue, is that you walk this fine balance of, you're not trying to be a conspiracist, but you look at it and you go, how could this have gone so...
But it's one thing if someone on the street says it. It's not, I mean, you, Corps Mills, member of Congress, former sniper, you saying it, I mean, it makes my eyebrows go up. When you say you're walking the line on this, intentional what?
You know, it almost seems to me, I think that an investigation is necessary.
Ignorance is bliss.
Not just the FBI, not just others. You know, I look back at...
She must be blissful.
For an individual, if you looked at the escalations and how they try and approach him, let's just say that it was like, okay, first we want to censor and silence you, then we want to indict and imprison you, now we're attempting to kill you and take you off the stage.
Whoa. You, let's slow down.
Please.
I'm hearing two things from you. I don't want to jump ahead of things, but I'm also hearing you jumping ahead of things.
Watch her try to cut the film.
You know, one of the things as a military member, one of the things as a person who's running the special operations communities before, one of the people who's actually done this is that you look at all potential analysis, right?
Donald Trump and his team have said, do not,
no, I agree.
Dial it back. Do not blame this on Joe Biden.
Oh, well, actually, I didn't say Joe Biden, and to be completely
Who's the they then? Let's be very specific.
Well, that's what the investigations do. Was it local law enforcement that had made mistakes, or was there something to it? Was there other types of things that we need to do analysis or looking at and providing analysis? My point is that when something's so significant,
if anyone thinks that this was a failure on the side of the Secret Service with a building 130 yards away, ignorance is bliss for you guys, right?
most of that hasn't happened in decades, right?
I totally,
But my point is this. From a perspective of someone who's actually conducted these are not difficult advances. This is not like I'm putting together a stage placement and a tight shot. This is about looking at your surroundings. What is my green, yellow, and red route, which is your routes out in case? What is my actual elements that I need to be looking at as far as mitigating threats or risks or increased levels? Where's my range fan for the sniper that says, okay, here's my 100, my 200, my sketch. Here's an area where someone could shoot here. Because here's my thing.
So you're
Let's
saying,
just take the race element.
you are saying this is so basic that how big the screw up was, that's what's leading your brain down
That's
the road?
exactly right. And
It's all basic. Even someone that didn't have training would have known to secure that roof. If y'all don't believe that, y'all belong exactly where you are. Period. And I think she belongs exactly where she is, at CNN.
in a way, but because here's the other thing. Let's just say it's a resource.
She wants to cut off.
And he said very specifically to me, I wrote it down.
Mm-hmm.
He said very clearly, it is too early to be talking about who is at fault and who is responsible.
That's why an investigation is necessary.
Is it not dangerous? Is it not reckless to even be throwing around the word intentionally?
So to question things as we do an investigation is recklessness, because at that point, then should we never question anything? My point is this.
I'm not trying to be PC. My point is, in the political environment that we are in.
What would it have taken, right? Let's just say that resources was limited. Let's go with that.
No one cares about your pretty little smile. These are facts. Ignorance is bliss. And she knows what happened. You can see she's trying to direct the conversation without any success whatsoever.
That's no reasoning. So how many times have you seen where they just put a police car inside of a parking lot with not an officer in it and just leave the lights on as a deterrent? Why couldn't that have been a simple thing that was placed in? Why couldn't we have said to the owner of the actual ATR company, hey, look, we don't want to disrupt your business, but we also want to make sure your parking lot is clear of people trying to park in there for the rally. Why don't we place an officer there? My point is that this was too easy of a solution. And when I think about 160
I'm just so uncomfortable with even having
I'm uncomfortable with having to say it. Trust me, my whole point is that I would like to look at this and say, where was the mistake made? How can we correct it in the future? Why was this actually done? But I think that this does warrant a J13 type commission where we can actually look at it and say, let's investigate and find out why this happened so it doesn't happen anymore. This is not about a political thing. This is about we had an attempt to assassinate a president. We really need to understand what a serious matter this is. And this was a milliseconds or millimeter difference between this being an
She's trying to do everything she can to get this film cut, and they just won't cut it. She's looking at everyone busted cold. She is what she is. Paid shill.
attempt, and this being an assassination. And I can tell you, at 160 yards, okay, just to give you an idea, your off-the-shelf rifle shoots what they call 1 minute of angle at every 100-yard line. So at 100, it's 1 inch, 200, 2 inches, etc. So now you're talking about 1.6-inch grouping capability of a rifle off a manufacturing line. Your average human being, because we used to do this in nursing and sniper training, you're 20 inches shoulder to shoulder, 40 inches head to waist, and you're 6'8" in your average head size. These are kind of the dimensions that you look at as an average. You're talking about a 1.6-inch grouping for multiple shots on a basic rifle. We're blessed, and I do believe in divine intervention, so I am a person of faith. I can't explain one. I hope that it was a corrugated roof and maybe he slipped off on one of the edges of the corrugated roof or he was rushed, but the whole thing I think just needs to have a better explanation so that the American people and everyone can feel comfortable.
And I think that's why people are saying pump the brakes, because we've seen conspiracy theories, honestly, on the right and the left. I just had Joni O'Sullivan on, that it's already going like wildfire. This is the kind of political environment that they're saying it's too hot and people are jumping to too many conclusions.
Well,
that's why I am so
As a military member, one of the things that we do is we what-if scenario everything in the world, right? That's
I know, but I don't know.
What if, can I shut you up in any way? I'll take you back behind the curtain. What if, ladies and gentlemen, she's doing everything possible. She tried to get them to cut the feed. They wouldn't cut the feed. She's at the Republican National Convention. Obviously, there's no one there left anymore. But Corey Mills, ex-U.S. Army sniper, and now, representative, is telling her exactly what happened. And she's doing everything she can to stay away from the truth. And if anyone can't see the truth here, well, y'all get what you deserve. Get what you deserve.
So when I look at
what if you talk about maybe in an investigation, and the what if that you are presenting on live television? I don't know. It's just
well. So listen, I'm a public official.
Yes.
Anything that I do, anything that I say in the public. I don't try and hide it in private. I think that the American people need transparency, accountability, and accessibility to the elected officials, not to try and hide behind what we want to look at. And I also think that if the American people know that we're questioning these things as well, it puts them at rest to at least know.
She's worried about her job at this point, guys. That's it. That's all she cares about. Get the knee pads out.
Why aren't they at least looking into this? We should look at every single situation which is of this significance. We should look at it from multiple angles to ensure that nothing is left out, nothing could be potentially claimed as being covered up. Yeah. We need to have more transparency to the American people, and I think that's what everyone deserves.
But a full investigation.
Full investigation.
Before anyone
that's right.
points at fault.
That's exactly right. And that's why I say Eileen,
he never pointed a finger at anyone. She's just tripping out because she knows it was all a big setup. Anyone with an IQ over 70 knows it was a big setup, period.
Not made an accusation of something. I just want to make sure we're covering our bases to ensure that we get a proper investigation at all levels to ensure this doesn't happen again and that our president can be safe.
Congressman, thank you for coming in. Thank you, Greg.
So she made it through. Wow. God bless you guys. Please share, subscribe. Always remember, anything's possible in the bizarro world, as we just saw. She's so worried about losing her little job. She won't even stand up to the Constitution of these United States of America. That is it. Well, the trash word. God bless. Share, subscribe. Always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.